Howdy folks, welcome to another episode of What's Steph On, and what have we got here today? Suzuki Bandit 1250S, the water-cooled models. This is a 2008/2009 model, and what we're going to do is be fixing it up. A little bit of a project bike. Mechanically it's okay, however it needs some attention, mostly cosmetic, but we're going to be doing some things on it, and I hope you want to join me to watch what happens with the small transformation. I guess we're aiming to sort of aim it back to original condition. Cosmetically it's a bit rubbish, and I'll go through some of those things now, but I'll also share with you what I'm going to be doing to the bike over the next few months. So let's check out some of the things that we're going to be fixing. Starting with the obvious thing, the stock exhaust here, pretty decent condition. You can see a dent there just underneath the passenger foot peg. I've actually got a Delkovich exhaust arriving, so I thought we'd do the fun stuff first and change that. The bike came with this Corbin hole shot seat. Now, this seat's pretty comfortable. I have to say, it's actually a little bit on the too hard side, if you ask me. But the main problem I have is that because the seat is significantly lower than the stock seat, the ratio, or I should say the relationship to the bend in my knees to where my bum sits is too low, and it's making my knee joint compress too much. I'm just over 6 foot, so I'm going to try to see if I can get a different seat or customize this one, or perhaps even just find a stock seat, which some people have said the stock seat's pretty awful. I don't know. I've talked to other people and they've said the stock seat's just fine. So I guess it comes down to personal preference and the shape and size of your ass. Another thing on the bottom of the priority list is going to be this Ventura rack. Now, I might piss it off altogether and replace it with a Jivy system. I'm not sure yet, but the main thing is these bolts and the ones on the other side are both rubbish. They're not the real ones. They're not genuine. And also, this side has the genuine Ventura lock. The other side has a bolt just screwed in, and that's it. The other thing is we've got the genuine fastener here for the universal joint, whereas on the other side they've just whacked in a bolt. I don't even know if it's the right dimensions. It might not even be the right thread. Who knows? So that's another thing we're going to look at later down in the priority list. Highest priority on the list was getting the new front tyre. I just got this Pirelli Angel GT2. I'm a fan of the tyres. I think what I'll do is when that wears out along with the rear, I'll probably just end up getting Road 6s. I've had a few other people mention a few other tyre brands to me that work well with this bike. So maybe the Michelin Power 6s for a bike like this, but I may end up just going with the Road 6s for longevity, especially with the dual compound. There's a lot of straight roads out here, so I wouldn't mind having something that's going to last well in the middle and give me grip on the edges when I'm turning around corners. One of the things we're going to check when we do full service on this bike as well is steering head bearings. We're going to look at brake pads, and I know they probably do need changing. You can see at the front of the bike here, we've got this crash bar here. On the other side of the bike, it's actually making contact with the engine, so that's going to come off. This side here, they're pretty well messed up and worn. This side here, the knob is actually scraped up well, and that's indicative of the damage this bike has. On the other side of the radiator here, this side's got this little thing here that can go. It's there for no reason at all. And on the other side here, we've got a fastener missing, so we're going to organise a new one of those. We'll have a new set of indicators coming. This one's held in with electrical tape. I'll see what I can do in regards to replacing this with a genuine one, although it's probably going to cost a small fortune if they're available at all. Otherwise, we'll be going aftermarket. Time will tell. We'll see what we can find. The mirror here on this side. Now that feels like it's steel, and you can see the corrosion there. It might be alloy. We're going to try to clean that up and respray it. There's nothing wrong with it otherwise. The one on the other side here is absolutely fine. Cosmetically, we've got these issues here, scratches and all that sort of stuff. If we go around, there's more here. The engine has a little bit of corrosion on it. I'm not going to bother with cleaning that up right now, but that is a very low priority. We can see more damage here, especially to the bottom part, especially up here. Like I said, engine runs pretty smooth though. Another thing I have noticed is the brake lever here. The rear brake lever seems to be very soft. Now, there's a couple of things on this bike that have made me realize that perhaps it's not been as serviced as well as it should. For example, you can see the quality of the front brake fluid here is pretty clear. I'm still going to bleed it anyway. But if we look at the condition of the clutch fluid, which is basically the same stuff, it's DOT4 hydraulic brake fluid, you can see it's significantly darker. And if we look inside here, we'll find the rear brake fluid reservoir. It's really dark in there, trust me. What I'm finding is when I'm pressing the rear brake pedal, two things are happening. One, I'm noticing a great deal of travel in the brake pedal before the rear brake becomes effective. So we're going to likely need to bleed that. I'm also wondering, I'm going to bleed it first and see what happens, but maybe the master cylinder needs a rebuild. There's no leaks or anything like that, but what I'm also finding is when I do push it down the first time braking after a short period of time, there's a little bit of a click and then it drops down. So I'm thinking maybe the master cylinder does need a rebuild. What I've also noticed is that this area here is not very well lubricated at all. So I may even take the foot peg off, clean all the old grease out that's in there, that's probably making this bind a little bit, and applying some new lubricant there. So that's another thing that's going to be doing. What I've also noticed is little tiny drops of coolant. Now that's nothing to worry about. However, what that means is behind this panel where this brake fluid reservoir is, there is a coolant reservoir in here. It is on the low side, I noticed the other day, and usually that may indicate that somewhere underneath here is where the coolant filler hole is, and the coolant, or the radiator cap basically. The radiator itself doesn't have a cap. This hose goes up to a junction. There's a whole bunch of trickery in here with pipes going all over the place, and that tells me that maybe the cap in there is faulty or becoming faulty. Usually that's the case of the rubber seal around the cap going a bit funky, and it's time to replace it. There is a bit of an issue with the fueling system. I'm noticing when the tank is getting low, when I've got the last bar of fuel and maybe I've got another 50 to 100 kilometers of range left, I'm finding that the bike is spluttering a little bit. That may be an issue with the fuel filter and it probably needs replacing. What I have noticed though is the rubber around this seal is starting to crack. So I'm going to find out if I can replace that. If so, how? And hopefully I'm not up for an entirely new filler cap. I just need to replace this rubber here. We'll see what we find after doing some research, eh? Last but not least on the cosmetic list is going to be things like this. There's a lot of corrosion on these screws, not so much here. All the handlebar fasteners are corroded. I'm going to see if I can just clean them up. And the brake fluid, or the clutch fluid reservoir here, is corroded as well. The final thing, you can see this lovely array of random wires. Now there's a switch here that does switch this cigarette lighter here on and off, which is great, except that means that the power going to and from this switch is essentially switched directly to the battery. There's also this white wire here you can see going, and it sort of finds itself underneath the instrument cluster. So I'm going to remove that and find out what's going on. I've got to remove it anyway to get access to the plug that's connected to that indicator. So this has to come off. You can see more bad cosmetic choices here. I don't know what lived there beforehand. It looks like possibly another type of cigarette lighter 12-volt adapter thing. To be honest, yeah, this bike's not had some great choices. So we're going to look at that as well and see if I can get a replacement entire panel of these. There's one in the US for about 150 bucks Australian. The problem is the shipping is another $150 Australian to get it here. Everything else on the motorcycle is pretty good. Chain and sprockets, I can just see the chain there, I just remembered. They're actually on their way. With the service, the brake pads are going to get done anyway. They're not low, but I'm just going to replace them all. And that way we've got a fresh, clean start. We've got a good state of what the hell's going on with the motorcycle. And then we can ride it and enjoy it. That is pretty much a long-winded summary of everything that's going to get done over the next few months on the bike. If you want to stick around and see the series, I'll be making a video for each and every step along the way. There might be instances where things like cosmetics don't get done. Fairings are impossible to find. I'm not finding any aftermarket ones either. It might just be a case of live with it, or maybe just give it a polish and a spit and shine and see what happens. One of the first things I remembered is I'm going to probably do as well is change the light that illuminates the number plate here, and the reason being is that light bulb is blown. So that's a nice easy one. That's probably going to be one of the first videos. So yeah, if you want to learn more about the Bandit 1250S and how to maintain it correctly, we may find other surprises along the way, so the series of these videos may extend even further than initially planned. If money permits, what I'm also going to be doing is changing the brake lines to braided brake lines. They're the originals. Suzuki actually states to replace those lines every 2 years, believe it or not. It's in the workshop manual. Less important is changing this grip right here. This is completely busted. It's not really affecting anything in any way, but the good news is I've got a spare one of these grips sitting exactly the same match in my toolbox. Now, I'm not sure if this is the throttle side or the left-hand side. However, I might do some internal measurements and make sure it is. And if it is, great. Guess what? It's going on, and we don't have to worry about spending money on new grips. Alternatively, I may end up just getting some heated grips and be done with it. So that's going to sit in the toolbox waiting for the right moment. So boys and girls, there it is, the 2008/2009 Bandit 1250S. Yeah, subscribe, check it out, see what's going to happen. All right, folks, catch you later.